So where are you anyway? Oh, okay. Right, that's easy. Perfect. All right. Well, let's say hi to everybody. So hey, welcome to the Monday night Spread Aviation live stream. This is me, Rob. You're familiar with me, and if you've been following Spread Aviation for any amount of time, really, one of the earliest supporters and friends of the show was Scott Scooter Yoak, who flies a very beautiful P-51 Mustang. And here's a little bit of footage of that aircraft from 2019's Oshkosh, which, I mean, sad news, we're not going to have a 2020 Oshkosh because of coronavirus. But hey, if we're going to be social distancing and self-quarantining, why not enjoy some airshow footage and get to talk to some of these airshow performers and pilots, and let's hear a little bit about their airplanes and what they do. So now, Scooter, you want to say hi, brother?
Can you hear me? Park twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Yes, they can hear you. Okay.
Awesome.
We have positive feedback loud and clear. He's not breaking up or anything, is he, Juan? He sounds good? All right, and the audio is coming in clear. Okay, so anyway, good thing the first 2 minutes of this was me talking and not necessarily you responding to anything. But okay, so let's go back and talk a little bit about your airplane that you fly and where it came from.
Sure. So my airplane is slightly different than the stock aircraft, says it doesn't have guns or armament or anything like that inside of it. It's made of over 200 different known Mustang projects from all around the world. And, it was a massive undertaking, 15 years between my late father and I building it. And, now we're demonstrating it in front of the American public and Canadian public, hopefully in September. We're doing Toronto for all of you up north. But, so doing around 20 air shows a year in the aircraft and do a lot of mentorship in the airplane and a lot of formation instruction, aerobatic instruction, that kind of stuff. So mentoring new airshow pilots, it's another thing.
Excellent. So that's an opportunity for people who want to experience this piece of history to get in there and to share that. And maybe they have grandparents or parents that served in World War II and flew these things. I mean, we're running out of the greatest generation here. Have you had an opportunity to fly any pilots who flew this aircraft in World War II or in Korea?
I recently, about a year ago, I took my back seat out just due to insurance reasons. The liability is just absolutely killing us. And I flew a lot of the greatest generation in my back seat, a lot of our Mustang pilots and ground crewmen and stuff like that. And the stories they tell, the absolute sense of pride between this group of individuals. I mean, it's phenomenal. How you make somebody live forever is you keep telling the stories after they're.
Absolutely.
That's the easiest way to do it.
All right, so we've got this P-51D. The game tells us that this is a P-51D Block 30. Okay. But you've pointed out a couple things that maybe don't quite fit with the Block 30 or...
I mean, I'll buy it. It's a Block 30, but, I mean, keep in mind, Block 30 was the last block of D models that was built. So... theoretically, it's the latest and the greatest. One thing immediately that I can see is that I see two axe handle antennas on the aft of the cockpit there. Those were generally Pacific Mustangs, generally had the two axe handles. Those were ADF loop antennas. So generally, I mean, like you look at a lot of those. Another thing, go around to the front of the aircraft.
Sure.
So my airplane has this, and it is not actually sort of like quartering, either left or right quartering, if you will, from head on. Go. Look at the gear doors. The gear doors were never green.
Oh, I'll do it on the light inside.
So my airplane has green gear doors. That's just because that's what we left them because we were still in primer. But my airplane's also not originally painted. So a lot of the history nuts are going to say, well, okay, the inside of the spade doors, which are the outside gear doors. The clamshell doors, which are the inside clamshell doors, or the inside gear doors there, those are not supposed to be green.
What about the outer pants, or the outer gear door?
So those are the spade doors I'm talking about. Those should also not be green.
So they would have been finished in paint, just like the rest of the aircraft.
Actually, they would have been bare metal. They would have been just bare aluminum.
Oh, I guess that's easier to clean.
A lot of the air guard units would spray them gray or silver, and even some of them actually made them red later on in the 50s, just to stay congruent with the open panel concept. I mean, not the inners, mostly the outers. Just as an accent thing. But I mean, block 30s, keep in mind the block numbers when we say it's a block 5 or a block 15, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, whatever you want to call it. Mine is a block 25. So, I mean, the only difference between a 25 and a 30, I believe, is avionics. So if you look at the vertical stabilizer, the front of the vertical stabilizer, you see a dorsal fin. It's a fairing it's that front sort of triangular shaped fairing. That was one of the additions. It's a stability enhancement to the Mustang, and that started around the block 15s, 10s and 15s. They were field modified. If you look at a lot of the earlier D models and you look at all the B and C models, you do not have it.
Wow. Okay. So as they were flying them,
I've flown a B model without it, and boy, it's squirrely.
It's a completely different aircraft then. So in combat, you want an aircraft that is not exactly stable. You want one that's going to change on a dime, but maybe that was a little too much.
I would say that's an enhancement, not a hindrance.
Okay. All right. Let's see. But as far as the outside of the aircraft, everything else looks pretty good on it, you'd say?
Yeah, is there fuel in it?
There's 50% fuel in it.
That's good enough for a demo.
Oh, all right. Okay, so let's hop inside the cockpit here, and let me just make sure the view is where we want it. Okay, this looks pretty good.
On a real Mustang, we start in a horseshoe pattern as a pre-flight start checklist. So if you look by your left hip, you'll see the flap selector, or the flap handle, which is that yellow handle right there. Exactly. So first thing you want to do is you want to pull that up, all the way up. It's at 50 degrees right now.
Okay.
You want to pull it up to the up position, all the way. There you go. So then you want to make sure the carburetor air controls, which are those two handles, are both forward. They're hot, and what we call ram air. There you go. Perfect. Make sure your rudder trim, which is the top rudder, exactly right there. It is 6 degrees right rudder trim. That's going to come in very handy on takeoff.
So I want this like all the way over.
Right. That's 5 degrees. There's 6. Perfect.
Okay.
And you got 0 elevator trim, 0 aileron trim. That's perfect. You got your oil and coolant door switches, which are right above those. Exactly. Just leave those in auto for now.
Okay, so up is auto.
Should be auto. That's correct.
All right, perfect.
And let's see here. So your throttle then should be just essentially cracked, for the lack of words. We usually put it about quarter inch forward, something like that. That's usually a good place to start. Now, this airplane has a pressure carburetor, which is different than like Cessna 150, Cessna 172s that are carbureted. It doesn't have a float carburetor. It's a pressure carburetor. Different. Going off on another tangent for another hour, and there's your wingman leaving you.
Bye. Hope you find your dad.
Exactly. So the mixture is going to start in idle cutoff, and when it hits, we're going to put it to the run position, which you see the run position there.
Okay, I'm going to need to map that really quick, but I can.
You're going to not map that. That's a very important piece.
Because I know from earlier attempts that I only have so many buttons. I only have so many fingers that I can move at any given time.
Start comes either really quickly or really slowly. Your choice.
And let's go emergency full rich. Why not? Let's map that just in case. Okay.
Just leave it in emergency full rich. To be honest with you, it'll be just fine.
Okay.
I mean, leave it in idle cutoff right now. Exactly.
Yes.
Bomb release handles should be in the stowed position, which appears that they are. Good. Come across. Let's see here. What do we got? That's prime. Okay, leave all that stuff. Yep. So supercharger should be in low and latched, which is the first guarded switch. Low and latched, which is good. Fuel boost. Not yet. We'll turn that on before we start. Oil dilute should be off. Starter, obviously, guard should be down. Primer should be off, which is a momentary switch. Mag should be off.
Off.
Now straight down. You look at your hydraulic T handle.
Okay.
Should be in, which it is.
Okay.
That's good. Fuel shut off. That's congruent. We'll start on the left tank because that's where exactly right there. We'll start on the left tank because that's where the vapor return is. There's about 10 gallons an hour into the left tank is what we have for a fuel return.
Oh, wow.
So we have a Cessna 172 worth of fuel return to the left tank. Exactly. So going across, we can go to the exactly. Make sure that the generator switch is off, hurry off, all that kind of stuff. Good.
Yeah.
Pretty much it. Go back to your hip, your right hip. Excuse me.
Whoop.
Exactly. Just make sure IFF and all that kind of stuff. So you see your fuel gauges on the floor there. They're direct reading. The fuel gauges there. You got a little more than 50%. There you go. What do you got on the left?
Let's see. Looks like it's about the same.
Okay. So you got about the same. 65. You got about 65%. So now battery switch comes on. Generator switch comes on. We go ahead and turn the generator on because it's a generator, not an alternator.
Okay. And we don't need gun heating or P2P. All right.
Do your fuel boost pump, which is there your lower left. Fuel boost pump comes on. Check your fuel boost between 10 and 12 psi, which apparently it's not going to show. That's oil.
Oh wait. Here's our problem right here.
Here you go. Turn it on. I thought you turned it on. My bad.
And boom, there we go.
You're at 12. You're at 12 psi. Boom. There you go. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to hit the start. So here's the start sequence.
Okay.
What you're going to do is go ahead and hit the primer for about let's call it 6 seconds. So go ahead and activate it for 6 seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Off.
That's generally where we start. Then you go ahead and lift the guard on the starter. And here's the start sequence. You're going to go starter. As soon as it starts, you're going to go mags to both because you have a boost coil. This is a standard Mustang. You should have a boost coil which starts the aircraft with the mags in the off position, firing the right mag through the starter circuit.
Is this dangerous if somebody was to pull the prop through? Like, is that always hot or only while the starter is energized?
No, it's only activated with the starter switch activated.
Okay.
So you're going to go starter, mags on, and then mixture to run position whenever it goes.
Okay. I'm looking around here. Clear prop.
Run. Yep, mags to both. Both.
Got it.
Mixture.
Got the mixture.
Go. Running.
Woo.
Your oil pressure. Very first thing you check. Check your oil pressure.
Okay, yes, we are above the red. Perfect.
That's fine. That's fine. Actually, there is no oil pressure red line high, so that is essentially that's a high for idle, not for takeoff.
Perfect. All right. We started a P-51.
Yeah, that is, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you start a Mustang.
Okay. So now, if anybody sees Scooter's airplane on the ramp, please do not hop in it and do what he just told us to do. Leave the airplane alone.
You're going to have to prime it for a lot more than 6 seconds.
Okay, so heck, we're running now. Looks like we got oil pressure. Temps are coming up. Carb temps, coolant temps are coming.
We don't really look at the carb temps so much when we're on the ground. So number one thing we look at is coolant and oil.
Okay.
So coolant temp, this max coolant temp, it's going to pop off at 121 degrees. If you look at your green range there, if you notice, it's only between 100 and 105.
Yeah.
That's green. So, I mean, you can run it less than that in modern temps. We actually run it less than that.
Mm-hmm.
I run my airplane around 90.
Okay.
That's just where it likes. So
now, is your
you can actually, with the 51 now, you've been in the chocks now for a minute, maybe 2. You can start taxiing.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's do that. Is there anything like a locking tail wheel or any special stick positions or anything like that?
There is. So the locking tail wheel mechanism is actually actuated via the stick. So your stick needs to be just aft of neutral or the middle position, engage the tail wheel steering, which is only 6 degrees either way, and it's controlled through the rudder pedals. If you need to make a quick turn, you just push the stick forward, and there you go. You can actually see it jiggle. That's pretty cool. You can actually see it unlock, and then you'll be able to turn with your brakes.
Neat. Okay. All right. So it looks like we're clear to go here. We're ready to taxi, I assume.
Mark, go for it. You're clear to taxi. Well, what runway numbers there are, but you know.
I think it's 6 and 2-4. 6 to the left and 2-4 is way down there.
Same as we have here at Twin Lakes.
Hey, all right. So let's see. Let's get a little table steering and see if she responds.
She's my favorite, in case you were wondering.
She's not happy about that. Okay, all right. So she doesn't like... maybe it is there. Yeah, okay. It's doing it now. Maybe I was pulled too far back. I'm not sure.
And unlike other tailwheel, for those of you tailwheel pilots out there, yeah, you be sure to S-turn because you can't see in front of you. Tailwheel pilots out there, we do not do the whole crosswind correction. You like dive away from a tailwind and pull back and away from headwind. We don't do that. It's a 10,000-pound airplane. The wind's not going to lift it up. If it is, you probably shouldn't be flying.
Yeah. Well, there's a hurricane coming, and you need to get out of Dodge. Yeah,
well, I would have moved it long before now. So.
Yeah, they tend to forecast that stuff a couple of days in advance.
Weather great.
So your airplane right now is getting a new engine in it.
It is. I just decided to pull it because as of right now, it is...
we have a problem. My wingman came back.
Well, let him do his thing.
There's only one taxiway, so we got to go back, and there is another taxiway over on that end, but yeah, those guys are landing downwind right now because they're AI and they don't know any better. So we'll get out of his way because he also doesn't know to get on the brakes when we're coming.
You might want to talk to him about that.
He only speaks ones and zeros. All right, so we'll go over to this other taxiway and we'll hold over here, and well, let's go through a run-up with it. Why not?
So one of the things you want to do is obviously first try to get either 90 degrees into the wind or into the wind.
Okay.
That is primarily for cooling.
Okay.
So another cool little thing about the 51 is, it's a water-cooled engine. It's not air-cooled. So max cooling rate on the ground, you can't really do it when you're taxiing because you'd get, you'd get too fast, but at 1500 RPM is the max cooling rate, meaning it's the best cooling rate. That gives you the best water movement through the engine in order to keep it cool. On my airport, I usually do it on the runway, but taxiway is fine.
Okay, so
just get stationary whenever you get a chance.
Yep, and
brakes and hold them real tight.
Okay.
But we're going to assume that you and I paid attention to the field barometric pressure before we started it. So, for DCS sake, I'm sure everything is pretty much tuned. Go to 2,300 RPM.
Okay.
Let's see. It should give us around 29 inches. Thereabouts. Let the boost stabilize. Okay. Charges in line.
Okay, so I'm going to keep it coming up. Something's... I see what happened. It mismapped my my propeller control and it started governing.
Good issue.
Okay, so there's about there's 2,300 RPM, and we're at 24.5 inches.
That's a little low. That's all right. We'll just say that that was start manifold pressure, because one of the things you want to do before you start, should have mapped it out and should have told you, but you just go to 2,300 RPM. First thing you want to do is you're going to want to exercise the prop 3 times. And get some warm oil to the dome.
Okay.
Just pull it back till it stops. I mean, like exactly. There you go. It's just like an Aero or a 172 RG. Just same thing.
Yeah. And okay.
You're going to keep it at 2,300, and you're going to check the mags. You're going to check the mags, the left and right mag. You've got 150 drop.
Okay, yeah, there we go. It stayed the same.
Oh, good enough. You want less than 50. So on a stock Mustang, we'll actually stagger the time to that. We start talking stagger. That all looks good. I mean, usually we'd shift the supercharger, but no reason to. We're not going up to altitude, so.
Okay, we're already above redline on the coolant, so. We're already above redline on the coolant, but we'll see what she does.
Okay, so your airplane's already popped off and you've already screwed your engine, but that's okay. Welcome to DCS world.
Yep. Okay.
Don't heat up this quick in real life, just so you know this.
All right. Well, that's good to know. All right. What's next?
Next thing we're going to do is you're ready for takeoff. That's a run-up.
All right. Perfect. Should we close the canopy?
Yes, for takeoff you should. So verify your oil and your coolant doors are in auto. Look down to your left-hand side there. Just verify they're in auto.
Yeah, they're both up.
Both up. Okay, that works.
Okay. So that's something we'll talk to the developers about.
Because I mean, this shouldn't have heated up that quick.
Oh, my doors are still hot for carb and stuff. Is that both these handles?
Should be cold and unfiltered.
Okay. Uh-oh. I'm about to pull in front of a B-17 and cause a runway incursion.
You can go around.
He doesn't do that. Okay.
AI, I get it.
Oh, it's P-51. Never mind. There are B-17s around somewhere. Okay, so these two handles here, these should be back?
Forward, yep. That should be forward and forward.
Okay. And our flaps? Flaps are in a good spot?
Yep, flaps are up.
Perfect. Okay, runway's now ours for the other direction.
Send a final clear down the runway. Most whenever this guy gets out of your way.
We're going to go the long
downwind, apparently.
Yeah, we're going to go the long way.
But yeah, so the biggest thing you want to do is you want to set the gaps so you see the white lines on the side of the thing there. You're just going to keep the distance between the two. The best way to do this takeoff is run the manifold pressure, hold the brakes.
Okay.
Run the manifold pressure up to about 35 inches, thereabouts. You're going to release the brakes and then slowly accelerate it up to about 55 inches of manifold pressure. You can take off with 61, but I to it. A little more bottom. There you go. Keep on going. 45. Notice the tail wants to come up already. Dadgum. Here we go.
Something
forward,
is
little forward pressure on the stick.
Yeah, something's going wrong with my.
Oh, what's going on?
We're gonna abort.
So idle. Yeah. Brakes. I don't know what's going on. Your supercharger's in low, so I don't know.
Yeah, it was like the prop. We lost the motor. We popped the motor because it was too hot.
Hot?
Yeah, it was too hot.
Sweet. That's a first time for me.
Throttle idle brake supply. All right, we'll get off the center line because I do see a guy over there. But all right,
make him go around too.
We'll roll the fire trucks here. Okay, so let's see.
In real life, that doesn't happen.
We're going to go live.
Happens to be in the week. There's an air show. You need to celebrate it all week long. So he's going to come by and give you a happy birthday.
Get everything else fired up.
Roll the aircraft upside down. He has approximately 10 to 11 seconds before he's got to roll it right side up.
Let's see.
Because of oil requirements.
That's loading.
The propeller governor.
We don't need the air. Let's do the block 30. And we're finally back live.
Part 2.
That was only a half an hour. It was a record that it failed right at the beginning. So let's hurry up and get this going.
To the end of the runway.
Yeah, well, I shut off all the other AI wingmen, so they're gone. Let's get this thing started here. So these all go forward. This goes to 6 degrees. I'm remembering everything you taught me here. We're cut off.
Right 6 rudder trim.
Prop forward, and we'll get the fuel right now. We'll turn the generator and the battery on. We'll get the cockpit lights up. We'll go boost pump on. Prime 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Starter. Clear prop. She's running.
Mags to both. Mixture to run.
Mixture didn't go. Catch it, catch it, catch it. Good girl. Oh.
If it doesn't, you can always keep it running on the timer.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty smart. I tried to keep a 52 running like that one time in training. It worked surprisingly well. Okay.
Absolutely.
So now we're running, and I had bound. It doesn't remember the binding. Okay. So, all right. We are ready to taxi now. Let's go ahead and get the canopy closed. This way. Get that going. We'll taxi. Here we go. We'll do our run up. Now, would you normally close the canopy before you do the run-up?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I just, we're DCS, just close it and just leave it.
Okay, we'll do.
Taxi out. I taxi out with it open in real world because that way you can.
Okay.
I'm doing a run up. Yeah, close it. 2,300.
Yep, 2,300. And we'll do a mag check here.
Drop 3 times.
Something very bad. Okay, there we go. Mag check. There we go. Alright, perfect. And cycle that prop. 1. Got drop. Rise. Drop. And oil pressure. Looks good. It's holding real nice and steady. Okay, throttle back. And let's see, we're taxiing on out here.
What's your coolant down?
It's now in the green, creeping towards the red.
Go.
Yeah, we're not messing with it. I had earlier during the pre-show testing, I had bound the controls to open the door because it's really funny. Okay, I'm actually holding it open right now. And it's for whatever reason, whenever it crashes, it does not remember the bindings. So since it crashed, it doesn't remember the binding, and that's fine. We'll deal with it. Okay, a little bit of brakes here. This is gonna ground loop. All right. So anyway,
Catch left, right down. Catch left, right.
All right, we're on the center line here. So you told me yesterday bring it up to 40 inches, 45 inches.
Do about between 30 and 40. So call it 35 inches. Get going straight and go on up to 50.
Okay, so there's 35. Straight, looking good. Comes the throttle, sticks coming forward, raise the tail.
This. It's literally, once you get it airborne, it's just another airplane. Make sure that you're 36 inches of manifold pressure, 2,300 RPM. That's close.
Okay, 36. All right, there's 36 is right there at 2,300. Okay, I can pull that back. There we go. Perfect, got it.
Man, literally, that's cruise. So this airplane, literally, is very, very simple. You're just flying the wing. That's all you're doing. You want to do a roll of the unit, that kind of stuff. Roll it below 220 miles an hour. You can roll it from 220 all the way up to wherever else. You're at level flight. My guess is you're around probably 240 to 250 miles an hour at this point. We're in miles an hour. We're not in knots. The airplane were certified, nor did it ever happen. Knots gauge on it. People put knots on it after the war, but I don't understand why, because all the approved data for the knots.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah, that's basic rolling. Looks like got some oil in the can there.
I don't think it's that detailed, but oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing that now.
Only
in the
mechanics
light.
with it. Yeah. Props probably throwing a little bit. It's standard.
It's a fresh overhaul, so of course it's gonna weep a little, right?
Of course, it's residual. Oh, that's what you're gonna call it. Okay. Yeah.
Now, as far as the roll rate goes, is this about the way the speed that the airplane rolls?
That's about right. That's about right. The airplane, people don't understand this is a 1940s fighter, so doesn't have F-16. Why are you running to the right?
Because I wound it up to the left. I need to unwind it to the right.
I do some rolls to the right, but it will be about 20 degrees a second faster to the left due to torque.
Yes.
And I mean that's it's trivial stuff you won't even really realize it, but that's what it is.
Okay, and our fuel selector here, you mentioned yesterday a very interesting thing about our fuel selector, and that we have right-hand combat on the left and left-hand combat drop tanks on the right. What's up with that?
Well, first off, those are actually for your drop tanks. Those are not for your main tanks. So the main tanks are just below that. If you look at that, see left and right main tanks. It should always be on the left tank as you're taking off and doing a lot of your maneuvers, because the vapor return operator is to the left tank at about 10 gallons an hour.
All right, so yeah, that's Cessna 172 Cruise fuel flow.
Back into that tank, that's correct. However, you were remarking that they're backwards. The reason for that is because...
Yep, can hear you.
Okay, just making sure you still have me. I had a weird notification there. So the main reason for that is because the drop tanks are pressurized the vacuum pump time.
Interesting.
So the exhaust off the vacuum pump puts a 5 psi head pressure into the drop tanks. And the only way to do that is to plumb right-hand side off the left hand, because it's backwards, because you're plumbing exhaust, you're not plumbing suction.
Right.
So it throws a lot of people off, and people don't really care. I mean, as long as you feed out of one and then feed out of the other, it should be okay.
So that's the same way, well, very similar to how the Turbo Seneca that I flew worked. It didn't use vacuum, it used positive pressure from the exhaust of the vacuum pumps to run the gauges.
Exactly. That is 100% correct.
All right. Do you have drop tanks for your aircraft?
No, I took off my hard points because that's about 7 knots.
Oh, wow.
I'm not carrying bombs and drop tanks and that kind of stuff. There's no reason to have it on.
So when you cross country the airplane, it's just on what it holds internally, and you're being miserly with the fuel. You're pulling it back and being economical with it.
Oh, actually, I'm not. The number one way I don't want to say hurt your engine, but how I've been able to get the life out of this engine and forth and so on is I don't run it. I don't baby it. This engine was made to run at 75% for its entire life, or more. The harder you run it, the longer it'll last.
Oh, wow. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's a tractor
engine. When everybody says, you're being hard on it. No, I'm not. I'm actually doing what it's designed to do. that is exactly what I'm designed. That's exactly the way it's. People are like, I want to save fuel, dude. Fuel is $2.95 a gallon right now. I don't want to hear any discussion about or quote unquote fuel prices.
And if you don't run it that hard, you can actually hurt the engine, have to replace it sooner, and that's a $300,000 engine. It takes a lot of $2.95 gas to make that $300,000 savings.
Finally, somebody made the connection, because that's what I've said for years. I'm like, how many times?
That's 100,000 gallons.
Yeah. So there you go.
You do something in your air show that is very unique, and that is the 16-point roll. What necessarily makes that, tell the audience what makes that a more difficult maneuver?
16-point was made famous by Bob Hoover. One of the things, and keep in mind, Bob is actually the one that gave me basic instruction to practice it. He can't tell you how to do it. He can't tell you the secrets of it. You still got to be somewhat talented enough to actually go out and fly it. But what makes a 16-point roll so difficult is you have 360 degrees in a circle for your roll, correct? So imagine me, you have a circle. You're going to cut that pie 4 times. That's a 4-point roll.
Yeah.
You're going to cut that pie 8 times. Now you're stopping every 45 degrees. Now, if you're going to cut it even further than that, you're going to cut it down to 16, which is 22.5 degrees.
Oof.
Now, am I on all 16 points? For the most part, yes. However, at 22.5 degrees, I mean, you have to get it right. That means that prior to every 90-degree point, you have to have perfect setup prior to that point. So it's the ultimate game of thinking ahead.
Absolutely. And
so it is. I mean, it's when people say like, "Oh, it's pre-planning." It is pre-planning from hell. That is exactly what it is. I'm thinking about what I'm doing at the 180-degree point as I'm passing through the 90-degree.
Well, Scott, now that you're talking about that, we have a little problem here. There are some German vehicles that are approaching our airbase that we just took off of, and I think we're going to have to do something about them before they capture our base. So
full lead on them and squeeze off a couple rounds.
Yeah, let's get a little warning shot to lead here. There we go. All right, there's a couple of hits. Let's see how they react to that. Our pilot's now reacting to all the G and the speed and everything. We're going really fast. We're doing about 350 miles an hour right now.
You don't want to do a strafing run below 300, so that's good.
Okay,
Keep in mind, Newton third law, right? For a reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I think that's his third law. Every reaction is equal and opposite reaction. Mustang wasn't nearly as bad as like the P-47 or the Corsair because they're a large frontal area. On a strafing run, if you held down the trigger for 2 seconds, which is a lot of ammunition, your airplane would slow down about 75 miles an hour.
On the Mustang?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And people don't realize that. You are shooting off 650 calibers. Do you have any idea how much recoil that is?
I'm going to go with a lot.
Yeah. So that's why they tell you to power up. That, you know, it's forbidden to shoot the guns at idle.
Oh, wow.
Many Mustang drivers have told me this, guys that actually hired these weapons told me this. They're like, yeah, like, whatever you do, make sure you're going fast. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, think about it. And they're right. When you think about it deep down, you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Well, we're giving these guys all kinds of hell. They've pulled off the sides of the road and they're trying to hide in the trees, but I have the labels turned on so they can't hide, which is something I wish our allied brothers had. But
believe me, I'm sure they wish they had it too. So.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, no, this has been really awesome talking about the aircraft. Is there any other tips that you might be able to give for, say, combat?
And
or anything like that?
I don't know about necessarily combat per se, but I can tell you that the Mustang was. A lot of people don't realize this. The Mustang had the most aerial victory out of any Allied craft during the Second World War. Now, people will point many times to the Hellcat. Well, the Hellcat had, what it was, 5,900 kills or something like that. The Mustang had 6,300.
Wow.
You count up the British and the United States. Out of all the Allied fighters, the Mustang shot down more air-to-air. It didn't have the best kill record ratio, okay, but it shot down, percentage-wise, it shot down more airplanes than any other Allied fighter. It's a juggernaut. You have to fly it as such. You have to fly it to its advantage. First thing it will not do very well, I mean, it's got a great wing, but don't fight low with it. Low about 20,000 feet, don't even. Everybody's like, oh, because I fly with Jim with the Corsair. Everybody's like, who's better, the Mustang or the Corsair? I'm like, well, what altitude are you flying? That's going to determine everything. And everybody is Corsair lovers because they're pretty airplanes, not that laws and that stuff. These airplanes, because we've played around, these airplanes are very, I say that, I mean, they are extremely, they're the same airplane. I would not, if I was a Mustang guy and I actually had to go up against a Corsair, I would not engage him below 20,000 feet. There's no way.
You make sure that you took that altitude advantage, and is that because of the supercharger or the wing or a combination of both?
Wing.
Oh.
So my wing is a high altitude wing. His is not. His is made to fight at like sea level. This is a sea level airplane. It's a Navy airplane. There's really no Navy airplanes out there that were high altitude fighters. I mean, yeah, I could go to 41,000 feet. Your turn circle at 41,000 feet compared to mine is a lot more. I'm gonna have all the advantage in the world when I get up to altitude. Or not. However, seriously, if I was flying a Corsair and I came up against my, the first thing I would do is I would use the Corsair's advantage of big, thick, fat wing in a very fat airplane, because that's, no offense, that's exactly what it is. And I would dive. The airplane can dive. It's one of the strengths. They always said, if a zero gets on your tail, the very first thing you got to do is dive. There's nothing that can keep up with it.
Right.
So, no, I would dive if I was a Corsair pilot. That's exactly what I would do, because the Mustang probably won't be able to, I mean, granted, his top end is actually slightly faster than it.
Even though he's got all that frontal area, he's got the horsepower to move it through it.
He's got displacement. He's got weight. His wing necessarily isn't more of a high-speed wing. It's got all that weight behind it. It's just gonna push him downhill faster. That's all it's gonna do.
Okay, well this is a laminar flow wing, and it's a very high lift wing, so we need to keep it very clean. Its advantages are up high because of all the camber. I don't know why my pilot just he didn't black out, but his hearing went. But the supercharger
he needs to go to the gym a lot more.
Yeah. The supercharger on this is multiple stages, and tell us the advantages of that.
Let me tell you something. In my opinion, it's probably the best thing about the Mustang is supercharger. I use it frequently. There's a lot of billions that will not use the supercharger. I use it going to and from air shows, so it's slightly different. The supercharger, you can actually clutch it. It's electrically operated, hydraulically actuated by oil pressure. What it does is it drives the supercharger into a larger gear and turns it at a faster rate. Now down low, I'll actually put out so much air that it will put the fire out. So you actually have to have altitude. You have to have thin air to actually be just like an Eastern.
Wow.
You need that to your advantage.
So from low blower to high blower, when does that automatically kick in?
Oh, it doesn't. I will select it as the pilot. I will select it, and usually it's around. It depends on the day. Okay, so it depends on the atmospheric conditions. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But for the most part, will depend on. It's around 14,000 feet to answer your question.
Okay.
I mean, if you're like, okay, what around 14 to 15,000 feet, it will make a power reduction. It will be down to around flying power, which is like I said, 46 to 58. I don't think that much command because that's fine. I'll just make a slight manifold pressure reduction around 24 to 25 manifold pressure. I will flip that switch. If you look down at your supercharger switch, it's a guarded switch on the left-hand sub panel there, or the left-hand panel of your instrument panel. You'll lift it up, you'll clutch it, and the airplane will actually bolt. It'll actually torque that supercharger driving to the position.
Oh, it won't let me flip it.
No, it must be disconnected.
What?
You gotta talk to your mech about that. Man.
Come on, DCS World, don't do this to me now. We want the powers. Okay.
On all the powers.
Let's see, maybe it'll kick on automatically. We're just passing through 13,000 here, so I'm just going to put the throttle back up and we'll see if she kicks on.
There is a automatic talk about, you were talking about the dash mount. So one of the features that actually they went back to the old style was the automatic touching of the supercharger. That was a feature. You can either have low and high, which I have, or you can have low and auto, which a lot of the newer models or the Block 30s have. You might have the automatic.
Okay.
Well, it is. If it's automatic, you never know when it's going to
That sounds scary. So we'll see. We'll see if we get a sudden boost here in horsepower as it passes through 15,000. Here it is. Not yet. Okay, so we're still digging. Coolant temps are just creeping up towards the red. We'll open that throttle the rest of the way. Yeah, we're down below 150 right now.
Be sure your coolant door's open too.
I'm going to have to do that externally and actually look at the thing. So yeah, it's open right now. Oh, did I just hear? Oh, it just kicked in. Okay, so there's 60 inches.
So it's automatic.
And there was 60 inches of manifold pressure at 16,000 feet at wide open throttle.
You'll actually get 60 to 61 inches of manifold pressure all the way up to about 21,000 feet. Or high blower in this airplane is incredibly useful. It made this airplane successful because, like I said, this airplane is rated above 20,000 feet, right?
Right.
So in order to get there, you have to have the horsepower to get up there.
Yeah.
To do that is with the two-stage, two-speed super.
All right. Well, that's what I've got for questions right now. But we can move on to our viewer questions that were sent in yesterday, and we talked a little bit earlier about how you were changing out the engine in your airplane for this next upcoming airshow season. So we've got a couple questions along with that. And the first question is, are you doing anything different with this engine installation?
Oh, I'm not. So engine that I'm removing at 1640 plus or minus a few hours on it. And usually you only get about 1,000 hours out of these things. I was able to go 640 hours over TBO with monitoring major inspections safely, might I say. And I could operate this engine the rest of the year and I would be 100% safe. However, made the decision to yank it early just because. But no, I'm not doing anything different because why would I? What I have worked for so long. It worked for the better part of 13, 14 years.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Do anything different. It's correct, and I believe that because the number one issue that we have with these engines, aftermarket stuff. All of the failures I've ever had in flight of components, all this kind of market stuff.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. So next question. Are you making any airframe repairs or modifications that would be difficult with the engine mounted?
No, I am not. I'm just literally just putting an engine in. That's literally all I'm doing.
The airplane doesn't need anything. That's good. Okay, cool.
Oh, it really doesn't. No, the airframe's a pretty solid thing.
So besides being... Oh, sorry. So besides being 600 hours over TBO, and that's not a required replacement or anything, was there any other motivation for changing the engine?
No, it was just time. I was just like, this engine is producing the same amount of power check-wise, because I do have, now keep in mind, the run-up that I gave you is a very generic run-up. I have a lot of other, wow, you're low level right now, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, America.
Exactly. No, I do a lot of other checks. There's a lot of other telemetry that I actually monitor on my phone and my tablets and stuff like that about parameters. And very first thing you want to check is oil pressure. What's your oil pressure doing at different power settings? And I didn't have any decay of oil pressure 500 hours ago. And when I hit the 1,000-hour mark, I'm like, all right, I'm going to monitor this and see what I can get out of this. And the engine is operating the same as it did at 1,000 hours as it is now.
So you've got an engine monitor that's watching the parameters of the engine. You can pull data out of afterwards.
No, I'm the engine monitor.
Okay, all right.
I'm looking at power setting for power setting. Okay, so here's power settings. Altitude, here's power setting. This oil pressure. This is my fuel pressure, and I can note that and I record that. What I do is I can go back and look. I can look the hours ago. I can say, okay, before the last oil change, this was my oil pressure. Here's my oil pressure now. There's no change. It means that there's no wear to my idler gear in my oil pump, so therefore I can keep running the oil system because the oil system is on, and vice versa to the coolant system. Same thing. I run coolant pressure, I run coolant temperature, and I monitor it between power settings. What is it doing, and is it essentially. I'm trying to see what the engine is actually doing, producing different parameters of my routine and both and cruise.
Okay. So it's very much the Mark 1 eyeball. It's very much the Mark 1 eyeball, and you paying attention to and knowing your systems and knowing what it's supposed to do, so you can immediately identify if anything is amiss, if anything is abnormal, and react accordingly to it.
Correct. Yes.
Perfect. All right. Excellent. And that goes along with your experience as well of being a mechanic and being a pilot who is raised understanding how and why things work and understanding the connections and how everything in the airplane can kind of talk to you. And I call that the language of the airplane. And so you very much speak the language of the airplane.
You nailed it, man. That's these airplanes. This airplane will. Harmonics wise and aerodynamically will talk to you and talks to you about everything. If there's something wrong, this airplane will tell you hours before it's an issue. And I mean that. And I tell new Mustang drivers this, and I tell new Mustang owners this. Look, this airplane will literally tell you what's wrong with it 100 hours before it has to do. You just got to be literally. You have to be savvy enough to pick it up. And I've flown behind this engine 99.9% of the hours that we've been on the engine. I know this engine like the back of my hand. I know when it's going to have an issue. I know when it's going to have a whatever else, to the point to where, I can almost diagnose what side of the engine the problem is on.
Yeah. Wow.
With this new engine, it's going to be a. I'm going to be listening to this engine extremely intently for the first 5 to 50 hours.
Absolutely. And so with the engine swap, will the engine that's being pulled off go into overhaul? And if so, who's going to do it? Will your shop do it?
Oh, no, my shop doesn't do the overhauls. My spare engine, that's the one that was overhauled, is going to become my main engine. My main engine has become my spare. So it's running just fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into what I call active storage. Active storage means, God forbid, that this thing pops a crankshaft, throws a connecting rod, has a massive catastrophic internal failure. It can literally be up and running. Not by myself.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, I can literally be up and running in 10 days.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, it's going to be an active storage is what it's going to be.
Okay. But it's not going to get pulled off and put into a crate pickled. It's going to go somewhere. They're going to change out main bearings or whatever else.
Oh no, it's going to stay as is.
Oh wow!
I can probably at least finish it. I can finish a season on it. That's all I want on it. Here's the thing. This engine will remain in active storage. It will get pickled. It will have preservative in it. We'll have galleys will be frozen up, all that kind of stuff. It gets closer to a top overhaul, because you do have to have I don't want to say a mandatory, but usually put a top overhaul 1 to 2 times for every one major overhaul you have on the engine. The heads and banks, because you don't have the cylinders. Heads and banks will be overhauled between 350 and 500 hours. So, and I can already tell you that I'll probably get 500 plus out of this new set of heads and banks. My new engine. So that means after 500 hours, I will send this.
Okay. And then who will do that overhaul?
Vintage V12, since it hatched in California. They're the ones that did the original. It's Jose Flores out there. He is Merlin Wizard. You know, there's several places doing Merlin overhaul and parts like that. Vintage V12s, you got Roush and Lobo in Michigan.
All big names, but there's somebody that you trust with Quicksilver, which is a very special airplane that you and your dad built, and that speaks a lot. That speaks a lot to somebody in their quality of work.
This engine that they did is the 500 Merlin engine world. It is vintage V12 serial number 500.
Oh, wow.
So my old engine is serial number 307.
Wow.
So I mean, you know, and that's not counting all the top overhauls they've done, or all the partials, or all the repairs. I mean, they're just a world-class company, and so is Roush, and so is, you know, Barrow and Ricky Schulheiser, and all the guys that are doing the engine. They're all world-class guys. I mean, you can't have a business with these airplanes and be halfway on it.
Yeah.
It would be 100% or nothing.
Well, it's kind of good that that we've had this kind of downtime, even though most airshow folks get all their stuff done over the winter anyway. But with the downtime, with the coronavirus and the social distancing and everything, one of the last questions that we have here: are there any planes that are at serious risk of grounding because of a lack of a season?
Well, besides me, no, and I say that lightly. Any airplanes at risk of a grounding. I will tell you that I don't know about coronavirus. I mean, I know there's already a lot of airshow pilots and organizations operate these aircraft that have said, okay, we have lost too many of those. We're done. That's it. We have to break. We have to make so many shows to make a season worth it, and we don't have that. Unfortunately, I will tell you, even myself, I'm very close to that.
Yeah.
I'm still going to press on where I am. But I mean, I'm here to tell you that this is going to be, because of COVID, it's going to be the absolute first season, especially because we paid for a new engine overhaul, right?
Yep.
And we did this, you know, we paid for it in the fall. It arrived here in the spring, so I mean, we're going to go on 2020's defense report. I mean, I don't even want to know how much in the red we are right now. I mean, but it's like, well, you know, if you should be able to fly these airplanes if you can afford it. Yeah, easier said than done, Ace. This is boy toys for big boys, and y'all need a little bit of help. Shows are that help for me.
Yeah.
I rely on my exposure and my sponsors, everybody else to help me keep this airplane flying. And several other museums, to answer your question, long story short, I wouldn't say so much for the air show season, I would say for the Air Museum out there. You know, I do a lot. I was Detroit based with my airline for the better part of 3 months. And I was there in the hangar whenever the issued the stay-at-home order, and I remember just looking at everybody going, now what?
Yeah.
Now their winter maintenance is incomplete. There's nobody there that's essential, right? Because you're
a museum. Yeah.
You're a museum. You're not essential. I would say it's air museums more than anything.
Oh my. Well, is there a website that people can find more information about Quicksilver?
The best way to go about it is actually find me on Facebook, which is Quicksilver P-51.
Okay, Quicksilver P-51 on Facebook.
If you want to go to our website, which I mean, more in the day and age of social media these days, but if you want to go to our website, it's quicksilvermustang.com. That's not updated as much as our social media should be, because we try to cater to the Gen Z generation, so social media.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you guys want to reach out, just shoot me a DM there, and I'll try to respond to as many as I can. I mean, I get a lot each day, so please be patient. But I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can.
All right. And do you have any merchandise or anything for sale or anything that we can plug for you? I should ask beforehand.
Oh, no, you're good. No, yeah, so we're selling T-shirts. If you want your official Quicksilver T-shirt, qsmerch.com. That's best is quicksilvermerch.com. It's the easiest way. And also another thing, I was just reminded by my lovely better half who's here helping me. When you go to Instagram, you'll see that there's a frequently asked question function. There's a sticky that I put on my thing. So if you guys have any questions before you DM me, check those, because I publicly answered about either once a month or once every other month. I try to do a question and answer session with my fans and my fan base. Everybody check in, and essentially, if you have a question about the Mustang, I'll try my best to.
Perfect.
A lot of times I get everybody telling me how much better the German fighters were, and I just Ford says they were wrong. So.
Yeah, history says you're wrong.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, but Maury determined that's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's
quite amazing. The first time I saw a P-51, I was like, wow, that's actually pretty good sized. And the first time I saw an ME-109 in person, I went, wow, that's not much bigger than an extra 300. So
much, yeah, you look at an ME-109, you're like, it's cute. It's so cute. You just want to pet it.
And you can't see out of it. Whereas the Mustang, yeah, I got good visibility.
Can't see out of it. You can't fight with it. You can't fly it. You can't do anything with it. Looks really good in the gun side of a Mustang.
Now, one of the more noteworthy sounds that the Mustang makes, besides the beautiful Packard Merlin V12, is the sound of the gun ports under G, and that's one of the things that DCS did manage to model. It's not 100%, but it's pretty good, and we'll just do that for the audience here. That little whistle as the airplane goes by is a gorgeous, gorgeous sound. Well, Scott, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. Is there anything else that we should know about the Mustang?
Oh, just it's it was another puzzle piece in defeating tyranny back in the 40s and this day. To me, my late father used to say it looks and sounds like an airplane should sound.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree with that. There's many other gorgeous World War II fighters out there. I'm not taking away from them. They did their job as well, but 51 will always have a place in history.
Yep, and it will be on the right side of history.
That's right. I have anything to say about it.
Well, Scott, thank you very much for spending the evening with us, and we hope you get back in the air soon. If anybody has any questions for Scott, Scooter Yoak, and the P-51, go to Quicksilver P-51 on Instagram. Give him a follow over there on Facebook as well. And hey, we'll be flying again soon. We'll get hopefully the last half of the year. We'll be able to do some air shows, and that'll be a lot of fun.
That's right. Rob, thanks for having me on as usual, buddy. Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you down the road, man.
All right. You too. Thank you very much. And everybody out there, thank you for joining us tonight. This is going to conclude our live stream. And thank you for sticking with us through the technical difficulties of last night and earlier tonight. But hey, it's working now, and I can't be happier. So thank you, everybody, very much for joining us. Take care.